Hey guys, Kansas Flamingo Chef, it's Bill, and this is beef. It's about 2 pounds of really nicely cut up stew meat, for lack of a better way of putting it. And you know, you can go to your butcher and have this done. You can walk into Sam's, they have great deals on pre-cut beef like this. But I just took a round steak and cut it all up into basically bite-sized pieces. And we're gonna make some braised beef tips. There's actually quite a few ingredients here other than just the meat. We're gonna have about a medium-sized chopped onion. I've got some dill, and this I actually grow in my kitchen, and then I dry it and grind it up, but you can just get dried dill. Some minced garlic, need a little horseradish, some Dijon mustard, of course I like red coupon. We're gonna need some red wine. We're actually gonna use the same red wine I used for a dish a couple days ago because it's not that great to drink, but it's great to cook with. I've got some cinnamon. We need salt, pepper, and garlic. So putting it all in one place is pretty easy, or we can use salt and pepper. We've also got a little olive oil back here. Some brown gravy mix. I mean, how difficult is that? You need some kind of barbecue seasoning. It really doesn't matter what it is. Some Italian seasoning. And last but not least, you've seen me use this before. This is better than bouillon, which is just a beef paste. So let's get started. This actually is really easy, and it's hard not to like. So this is actually my take on a dish my dad used to make when I was a kid, and I always loved it. And I thought, you know, it'd kind of be fun to show some other people how to make it because it's easy. And you can feed a bunch of people, and everybody likes it. I've never met anybody who didn't like this. So all you need is a stock pot. We're just going to start by heating up our stock pot to about medium high and put a little olive oil in the bottom. You don't need a whole lot, just a little on the base of the pan. So then, as the olive oil heats, you go ahead and you dump in some onion. I've got one medium onion just chopped up, kind of, not tiny chopped, but chopped up. Next, while that onion's starting to cook, we're gonna add a little minced garlic. It doesn't take a lot, maybe a heaping teaspoon. I'm also going to go ahead now and add some salt and pepper. A lot of you have heard me say this before. I prefer ground fresh pepper, ground sea salt. But if you want to use it straight out of a container, that's fine. If you want to use the blended stuff like I've used in videos before, that's fine too. You can just grab the container of this kind of stuff, which is all mixed. This is awesome. The Kinder's, the blend, has salt, pepper, and garlic. Everything you need, shake it in, you're all set. But I want to do it this way because it's the way I like to do it. Now we're going to keep the salt and pepper around because we're probably going to use some. Let this start to cook. And let that saute down, for at least 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to add just a pinch of ground dill, and I do mean a pinch. I'm also going to go ahead and put in just a tiny bit of horseradish, not even half a teaspoon. And about the same amount of Dijon mustard. The aroma that will come off of this is absolutely incredible. Now, if you've ever been around German sauerkraut when it's cooking, that's the smell that you're going to get, because that mustard and the horseradish combining are going to give you that sauerkraut aroma. Let those onions cook and clarify before you do anything else. Once your onions have cooked down, you're starting to see a little browning. Turn your heat down a little bit. I'm going to turn it to about medium. And we're going to go ahead and add this beautiful meat. Just drop it on in there. And mix it together really well. Because you want the oils from the onions to start to soak into the meat as it browns. Let that meat brown for a couple of minutes. Turn it a little bit every so often. And as you're doing that, we're going to add just a hint. I'm going to turn this so the camera can see. Just a hint of cinnamon, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon. And also, about a teaspoon of our barbecue spice. And you can use any barbecue spice that you prefer. I happen to like this Thundering Longhorn just because it has kind of a bite to it. We'll go ahead and mix that around real well. And we're going to add some Italian seasoning. Now, the trick here is later on you might want more of this, but I like quite a bit. So we're going to put about 2 teaspoons of the Italian seasoning into it. Mix that in as well. You want to get all these seasonings in before the meat is finished browning. Very important, because the flavors will only go into the meat if it's not fully cooked. All right. At this point, we are ready to start making the sauce that the meat is going to cook in. And there's a couple of schools of thought here. A lot of people like to use beef stock. I get that. That's okay. I prefer the beef paste. If you want to use beef stock, that's fine. We're just not going to use as much water. I'm going to use a good heaping teaspoon of the beef paste. And then I'm going to add some red wine. And you can add quite a bit. In fact, I'm going to put the rest of this bottle in there, which is probably in the neighborhood of about 10 to 12 ounces. And I'm going to go ahead and stir that together and try to break up that beef paste into that wine. So now we're just going to let that start to do its thing. And I'm going to bring the heat up just a little bit to medium high. Let it sit for about 5 or 6 minutes before you do anything else to it, because then we're going to build the base that will actually make the sauce. So for about the last 5 minutes, this has been sitting here with the cover on at medium high, just boiling away. We're going to go ahead and take the cover off. And I promise you, this smells amazing. You have that combination of that mustard, wine, it's euphoric. So we're going to mix this together a little bit. The beef is edible. I mean, it's at the point where you could just go ahead and eat it. But I want it to cook down for a long time. I want it falling apart when I eat this. Because we're going to pour this over mashed potatoes. You can do rice if you wanted. I mean, you can do it by itself. You can use bread, whatever you like. I like it over mashed potatoes. I guess that's just the way I grew up, with some green beans on the side. But this needs to cook for a long time. But what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit here and cook, but we're going to add a little bit of this gravy to it to let it thicken as it cooks and get more balanced flavor. So what I've done, I've got a cup of water, I've got my gravy mix, and I'm just going to take about a tablespoon of the gravy mix and put in that cup of water. Stir it together as good as I can. It's not going to be perfect, This is one time you don't absolutely have to run it through a colander, because it's going to cook for quite a while. Okay, we're going to dump this in there. Add that to that broth. And you're going to see the color change almost immediately. Now I'm going to let this simmer just like this for about an hour. And then every so often I'm going to check on it and make sure it has liquid. If all the liquid is gone, we're going to need to add some water and a little bit of the gravy mix, not very much. Then, at about the 1 hour point, I'm going to do that again, but in a heavier gravy consistency, so I can let it build up and then let it simmer on low for about another hour to 2 hours. So yeah, it's a long cook, but it's worth it. All right, it's been an hour. Magic of television, right? Let's open this up. Now I've had this simmering at low for the last hour. You can see it's greatly reduced. It's starting to have that completely different color and texture. Now what we're going to do is bring the heat up to about medium. I'm going to add a little more of the gravy powder, maybe 3/4 of a tablespoon. Mix it in. Bring this to a good roaring boil. Then we'll cover it, put it on simmer, let it cook for about another 2 hours. Serve it over mashed potatoes. All right, so I want to show you the finished product here. And this is after it's had 2 hours to simmer. And this beef just falls apart. It's fork tender, and that's why it's so amazingly good. Pour this over mashed potatoes or rice, even like I said, over bread, and go at it. I promise you, everybody will like it. So as always, I want to thank you for joining me and spending time with me, and I hope you've liked these videos and shared them if you will, and absolutely subscribe. I need more subscribers. And click that little bell down there at the bottom so you get notified when I put up new videos. I'd love for you to see what I'm doing. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. If there's something you would like me to cook, all you got to do is tell me what you got in mind and let me see if I can do it. If you have questions, comments, please put them in the comments. Send me an email at billstout@chef.net. Have a fantastic day and eat fabulous.